Zaxby's Caribbean Jerk Chicken is just like a vacation in the tropics. Only without the sunburn. Or the dive-bombing seagulls. Or all of that pesky sand.
How'd it get in there?
Well, at least it tastes like the tropics. Enjoy our famous chicken tossed in a tropical blend of spicy habanero, fruity mango, and exotic island spices. The Caribbean Jerk boneless wings and the new filet sandwich meal. 2 more reasons you'll get a kick out of Zaxby's.
From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up!
wake up, wake up. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan Hajavandi alongside Corey Clark. We work for Warchant.com. Use that promo code Warchant30. Gets you 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source. You get Michael Langston's recruiting information. He'll be on the show later today to give us some insight into the recruiting efforts of Mike Norvell and company, as well as maybe some background information on this latest transfer, the kid from Purdue. You see this, man? We're pulling kids from Power 5 programs, walking away from scholarships to come walk on for CMN.
I'm telling you, man. You can feel it percolating across the country. Everybody wants to get on the Norvell train.
Indeed.
Now, was he any good at Purdue?
I think he was. I saw Michael posted something about he was one of their leading tacklers.
Okay.
So we'll
That's
take
something.
It's a linebacker. He's
It's
like
depth. It's a body.
6'2"-ish, 230-ish, I think.
Okay.
So
All right.
we'll take it. We'll also take your patronage if you like, folks. So we got some people that, our poultry papa at Zaxby's, by the way, shout out. Get that Caribbean jerk in your life. It'll make everything better. It's the one jerk that will make your life better. How about
Caribbean.
that? Caribbean.
Caribbean jerk.
Caribbean queen.
We're sharing the same dream.
And our hearts will be as one. So yeah, we have some folks that just hop on for the football season. But if you want to advertise with us here on Wake Up Warchant, shoot me an email or tweet at me. The email is aslan@warchant.com. Renegade Express is open. If there's anything else you want us to talk about, maybe you want to sponsor something. If you're just Dave's, roofing, and you just want us to talk about roofing.
I think that's the correct
roofing. Because roofs,
pronunciation.
like
roofs, yeah.
Yeah, like plural of roof is
Like
roofs.
hooves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Not hoofs.
So, yeah, Dave, if you're out there, give us a shout, or any sort of industry that we'll have to obviously, Gene has to approve it. We can't just have anybody advertising anything, but
Sure.
we like money.
We do.
All right, so this Renegade Express is just it's a free agent version. I did see this tweet from some Florida State fan that pulled it from Tennessee. I like this David Johnson guy, Corey.
Okay.
I like the running backs coach. And I know we sort of diminish it, the running back coach role, because ultimately you have to be a recruiter because, as you've pointed out on the show, I mean, hey, Dalvin, Dalvin, you got to plant that left foot, put about 70% of your weight on it, then you want to cut back to the right and then explode. That's not how it works.
Get to full speed and run fast by people.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So he's a bit of a motivator. I want to play this for you, Corey. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to punch it in.
My word today is commitment. I only want you to commit 2 times. That's it. When you feel like it and when you don't. When you feel like it and when you don't. When you're having a good day, we want you committed. When you're not having a good day, we want you committed. If you can do that, and if you can fall in love with improvement, you're going to be all right. But you must be committed. When I first started coaching college football, I begged and I prayed, just give me an opportunity just to coach. Got a chance to coach at a Division III school, Millsaps College, some of you probably never ever heard of in Jackson, Mississippi. The first 2 weeks, I had to sleep in my car because they wouldn't allow me to stay in a hotel. It was after Hurricane Katrina, and nobody from New Orleans, they wouldn't let them stay there. I had money, I had credit cards, but I just thank God for the opportunity. Because in my mind, I wasn't homeless, I didn't have anywhere to sleep, I was the first one gonna be at work. And the guy told me, Coach, I never told you how much money he was gonna make. It don't matter. He said, Coach, I only can pay you $500 a month. I said, it don't matter to me. Just give me an opportunity. How many times do we want you committed?
2 times.
You gotta understand this. You're gonna have to see it through, man. This not gonna be easy. You're gonna have to see it through.
Running backs coach, it's pretty spirited, motivational speaking. And again, plug your ears if you don't like hearing about the previous coaching staff. I wonder how much of this, and Ira's mentioned it a couple times, I think, in conversation about maybe the players, I don't know buy-in, but maybe the players were losing kind of confidence in the coaching staff that was assembled around Willie Taggart. Like when you have a guy, I just think there's going to be such a what Jimbo was, and then Willie came. Obviously, Willie had his thoughts of what he needed to do to win the team over. I feel like Mike Norvell is going to pivot way off of that, and I think it's going to be. I think the players will embrace it that much more. I mean, the players came to Florida State to kick ass. No one came here to be 5-7, 6-7, whatever has been happening here the last 2 years. 3 years, I get it. Jimbo's part of it. Okay, there we go. We good. I feel like players will walk out of meetings hearing that kind of stuff, and they'll embrace it because they realize what they did and what it sowed, and what they reaped and what they sowed from the last year and a half, 2 seasons under Willie Taggart. That this sort of stuff will be embraced, and if you're going to want to put in the hard work to be great, man, that's a really good start. So I mean, when that's a running backs coach.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, no, and in his story, like we talked about on the last show, is it's pretty unique to be a high school coach as long as he was, and then to start at whatever he said, Millsap's college.
Represent
I didn't
Jackson,
know Paul
Mississippi.
Millsap had a college. That's crazy. I mean, he's still in the NBA.
I know.
And he started a Division III college. That's nuts. But so that to me is it's a nice. I don't know, not a starting point. That's not the word I'm looking for. That's not the phrase I'm looking for. But that's all well and good. These guys, so much of it is on these players. I don't hesitate for a second to believe that the recruits that Norvell starts bringing in will be part of his system and buy into his system. These guys, though, these current guys on the roster, how much are they going to buy into this? Because it's all on them at some point. Not all of it. I mean, they do need to be coached better, a lot better. And like you said, they didn't come here to go 5-7 or 6-7. They came here to number one. They came here to get to the league. They don't want to lose money. Like these coaches can make them money if they can coach. But also at some point, you've got to take ownership of yourself. You got to take ownership of how hard you're going to work. It's not just motivational speeches, but I do think that kind of stuff can help. And I do think if they respect the people that are coaching them, that can really help. Anybody listening to this has had somebody in their life that was their boss or a teacher or a coach. I had one in high school, a baseball coach, that I did not respect at all. So I never worked hard for him. And at the end of the day, it was too bad for me because I never really got to play. Because I was like, man, this guy doesn't care about it. This guy's not going to play me even if I do work hard. And he doesn't know what he's doing, which he didn't. Especially now with 25 years of hindsight. Anyway, but he looked great in that uniform.
He just wanted that stipend, huh?
360-pound dude just trying to fill out a high school baseball uniform, dipping in front of us. It was just disgusting. But anyway, so if you respect your coach, and I never really got that in high school, and that was as far as my athletic career went. But if you respect the guy that's coaching you and believe in him, and he gives you reasons to believe in him, man, you see what happens with this basketball team. They play their butts off for that guy. And you'd really like to see that translate to the football field. And so if messages like that, if stories like that, if they can resonate with the team, that's a good thing, man. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's only a starting point. It's only a small fraction of what really has to change around this program.
I just think when you surround yourself with sharp, intelligent guys, which David Johnson appears to be, and I'm not basing off this one clip, but based off the fact that he did go from college to where he's at to the SEC.
No, he was a head coach too.
Yeah,
he's been a head coach. Is that their? How many head coaches have they had now? Is this their third or fourth head coach on the coaching staff?
No, for Florida State.
Yeah. No, I mean like on the current staff that have been head coaches.
Well, I mean he was a high school head coach.
It's something. I think that counts.
Okay.
I do think that
Fuller
counts.
was a head
Fuller
coach.
was a head coach at a small school. I think that counts. Wasn't the O-line
Thompson,
coach? Or he's not the O-line coach.
Thompson was a head coach.
Tight ends coach. He was a head coach. So that's even head coaching high school experience. It's still 8 other coaches you're having to coach and a whole team you're responsible for. I think all that is good, man. I think all that kind of perspective really helps.
I just think when the sort of ethos of your program is, hey, let's just, let's get along. Let's, we know things are bad, but let's just have fun out there and let's go, let's just have fun and play ball and do what we do. We're Florida State. That's not a message, man. That's not direction. And I think guys like this that come in there that have a message, that have depth to their sort of message, and I don't know, that wasn't the word I was looking to use, but the substance behind what they're doing, and they've proven themselves, and you realize that, man, our head coach has hired all these guys. Like, this is my segment coach now, compared to what my segment coach was 3 years ago, compared to what my segment coach was 2 years ago. That really shows that it also gives you more sort of buy-in, just like this guy knows what he's doing. And I just think they'll be so much more receptive to this message. And I think, and the ones that aren't, and they won't be, and that's fine. But I think the buy-in you'll get from guys that are, okay, this is going to be hard as hell, but I want to do it, is going to give you a lot better results almost instantly than guys of, yeah, man, last year sucked. This is going to be cool and fun, and we're going to have fun. Let's see what happes. That's
yeah.
And I'm not trying to trash Willie, but it just that was the way he wanted to come in. He wanted to come in here, and guys were hurt. He said it to us. He said it to every outlet, national, local, regional. That when he came here, saw a lot of guys that had feelings hurt. The way that the previous staff left, and he just wanted to get them back on board and back engaged. And that was a miscalculation. And I don't know if he'll ever admit it or whatnot, but that obviously never paid dividends. And I think Mike Norvell, hopefully with all these one-on-one meetings he's had and speaking to the coaches and the players, ones that are leaving and the ones that are staying, just kind of realize that these kids, they're fine. Like, they want to be pushed. Like, make us great again. Do what you have to do.
And you know what's, I would guess, encouraging for Florida State fans when you look at this coaching staff is, we've talked about it a lot. A lot of them have ties to Mike Norvell, but a lot of them went to other places in between getting back together with him. When it comes to the previous staff, they were all, it would appear, going as far as Willie was going to take them. These guys were all going on their own path, but they believed so much in this guy, in what he's doing. Going from Tennessee to Florida State, Tennessee had a better record than Florida State this year. Again, I don't think Tennessee's a better program at all, but they have a better record. Auburn had a better record. And you have guys leaving those programs, which are kind of, I wouldn't say on the upswing necessarily, but they're certainly right around the same level as Florida State right now. But they believe in this dude so much that they're willing to leave an already really good job to go work for him, to go take a lateral move position coach-wise, to work with him. I think that should be encouraging, man. I mean, they've been around real programs. David Johnson for 2 years at Tennessee, Dillingham for a year at Auburn, and they could have stayed there. They weren't forced out. They wanted to go work with Mike Norvell again. That should make everybody feel pretty optimistic about, because it's not like I gotta hitch my wagon to him. He's my guy. I gotta stay with him, otherwise I'll get lost in the shuffle. No, man, you're at Auburn. Yeah. With a freshman quarterback. And no, man, you're at Tennessee. Y'all just went 7-2 over the last 9 games or whatever it was. They left pretty good jobs to come here. That to me is a really encouraging sign. Same thing with the guy at Charlotte. The new O-line coach,
Alex Atkins.
He was the OC at Charlotte, and maybe if he waits a year or two, he becomes the head coach at Charlotte. If that guy gets a better job, you know what I mean. He really they all believe in this guy, which is a really, really good sign. I'm starting to believe. We were talking about it on headlines on Tuesday. Like, we're really starting to believe more and more with this coaching staff. It's not. It's. I'm still probably the most cautious of the three of us, but the cautious optimism, the cautious part is kind of just being whittled away, and it's just optimistic. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of optimism around the staff he's put together. The fact that he's got, they're announcing all their off the field analyst type folks, and they all seem to have nice pedigrees too. It's just, you see a direction and a strategy in an organization that really gets you excited about maybe what this program can get back to.
Yeah. And I think part of it too is obviously everything in life is relative. So with this staff, their ability, I think you almost measure to how you stack it up against the previous regime, which I think obviously gives it that much more of a boost. But then you even think about Jimbo. What is Jimbo's coaching tree really? James Coley, OC at Georgia, but I mean, is he even still going to be there? I mean, I don't think Kirby was that stoked about him. Mark Stoops got a head coaching job, but after the national title game, he never really replaced guys with people that were on the upswing, if you will. You've had highly paid assistant coaching staffs that weren't
highly sought after. Let's put it that way. How many of those guys were people knocking down the door to come get?
No,
they're just not many. Now you've got a guy that was already at Auburn, another guy that was already at Tennessee, another guy that was in OC. You have a lot of guys that again, I think if the Florida State, if the Florida State program disbanded tomorrow, all these guys would have jobs in 7 minutes. If Florida State had disbanded in 2016 or 17, how many of those guys are getting jobs? Jimbo didn't take any of them with him.
Yeah. Jay Graham.
And Brewster. And Brewster left after a year to go to North Carolina. By the way, I think Jimbo apparently tried to hire him back.
Really?
Yeah, and he said no, he's going to stay at North Carolina. That was on my Twitter feed anyway.
Come back, Timmy.
That he was staying at North Carolina. So yeah, man, and Jay Graham. So he kept the 2 recruiters.
Yeah.
Well, do you care about coaching? You know what I mean? Do you care about making these guys better and developing? Because if you do, how can you explain to Florida State fans that those guys that were the best in the country, that they're 6th highest paid staff in the country, that you were giving them the best chance to succeed when you didn't believe in any of them enough to bring them with you? That's something that will always kind of sit wrong with me about the last few years of the Jimbo era. It's like, man, was Bill Miller really the best you could get?
Yeah.
Really? Kelly was the best you could do at DC? All go down the line. You didn't believe in any of those guys enough to, and he could say, yeah, well, they wouldn't pay this and they wouldn't pay that. Yeah, man, Bill Miller, really?
Yeah,
Rick Trickett, are you not seeing what we're seeing as far as your offensive line recruiting and what this thing is doing? Rick Trickett can coach offensive line. We all know that. He's good technique-wise. He knows what he's doing. But he can't get kids on campus. When you look at where this program is right now, again, we talked about it on headlines too. There's a chance with Marvin coming back, Tamarian coming back. You look at 7, 8, 9 wins.
Healthy Nas. Nazarene, healthy Woodby.
Kendo, healthy Kendo. You got some talent. Travis J, whatever he is, I think he's going to be a dynamic force at some point in his career at Florida State.
Akeem Dent, maybe at home at cornerback, I suppose, playing out of position.
There's a reason to be optimistic, but the offensive line is still just a WTF. That's all it is. It's like, how did this happen? And then, so the Pro Football Focus did you see that list of they ranked the top 130, they ranked all 130 offensive lines in the country from this past year.
Okay.
130. So every school that's Division I. Every FBS school. Georgia Tech was 130. Florida State was 129. And you look at that and you go, how is this possible, man? How did this happen? And how do you get out of this? How do you get out of the muck? How do you get out of the mud? Transfers help. But it always goes back to Jimbo being too proud and Trickett being too good a friend, or what? I don't understand it. I'll never understand that. I would love to have a beer. That's too hard. That's too much. I don't think I'd love to have a beer with Jimbo.
I would. Actually, Aslan would love to have a beer with Jimbo and ask for Corey.
Well, yeah. I just wonder if Jimbo would be nice to me. If we're just shooting the breeze watching a football game, and I'm like, hey man. So what was the deal with what happened to the offensive line? Like, why was there not a change made? How did Florida State go from, having an NFL offensive line to having the worst?
I don't want to relitigate this, but they had a good recruiting class in 16 or whatever it was. Yeah. Dickerson and Baselli and Jawan Williams.
It didn't work out well, but the point is they're awful on the offensive line. Now, are they the 129th worst in the country? Like, obviously, I think their offensive line is better than New Mexico State's. But relative to the competition it was playing, it was the second worst in the country.
They performed the second. The second worst performing offensive line.
And again, that's Pro Football Focus, so take it with some grains of salt. That's a couple people doing their grading. But by and large, we all know the Florida State offensive line wasn't great.
Correct.
Well, Florida's offensive line was in the bottom 30 or 20.
Yeah.
And they still won 11 games and won a New Year's Six. So you can win even with a bad offensive line. You have to be able to coach around it. My point being, I don't even know how I got started on this. There's a lot of reasons why this program is the way it is right now. But for it to get back to where the offensive line has to get better, and these players have to believe in these coaches, right? You have to believe in who's coaching you. And I do think, we'll see, but I do think the staff he's put together, man, if I'm a player at Florida State and I look at this staff and where these guys came from compared maybe to where the other staff before him, and then the staff before that, where they all ended up, you have to be like, well, man, these guys are These guys they're on the up and up. I mean, these are climbing the ladder. These are real good assistant coaches, right?
Yeah. You were talking about Wilson coming back and Tamorian coming back. Did that go into what your point was, or did you get lost in thought there?
I think I probably got lost in thought, but
talking about headlines, things gonna be really good early on. You're saying, like, let's get on this 9-win train already?
Yeah, I mean that's where the optimism comes in. No, I'm not. I'm certainly not there. I think the quarterback is a huge question mark. Huge question
You don't
mark.
believe in James Blackman? Come on.
No, I don't, and I don't not believe in him.
Yeah,
you can prove me wrong, kid.
No,
but I don't believe in him. And then, because why would anyone at this point? And then same with the offensive line. I'll believe it when I see it. But if those two things can get fixed, not even if they can become competent, then you have a good shot. But again, when you play a clip like that and you see the running backs coach, and you think of the staff he's put together, it seems like he's got a real direction, and these guys really like coaching with him, and they believe in him. If they did not believe in him, you would not leave Tennessee for Florida State. You just wouldn't. Same with Auburn. You wouldn't believe in them. These guys think that Norvell is so good that he's going to start winning championships, and it's good for their career. When was the last assistant coach that came to Florida State where it ended up being good for their career?
Mark Stoops.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a rut. We're in a drought. Walt Bell, I guess he got to UMass. That was that program
Shout
around.
Out Taggart Tree.
Yeah,
it's good acorn.
So, I think you mentioned the Jimbo Tree too. Yeah, there's not a lot to it. There's not a lot to it. And when Jimbo went certain places, I don't know that maybe some of those guys didn't want to go with him. He lost a lot of assistants that didn't want to coach with him anymore. It seemed like these guys seem to want to coach with Norvell. Not only do they believe in his message, but they think he's good for their career. That's positive.
They're just assertive dudes. These guys seems like they have vision. They have experience coaching at really high levels of football, and they seem to be demanding. I think I saw – I mean, people talk about the dysfunction of Florida Center, Willie Taggart. I'm sure the Dallas Cowboys under Jerry Jones the last 26 years or whatever hasn't been much better. But I think, Ed Werder was saying when they were hiring Mike McCarthy, like the three – I can't remember all of them. There was four things – that Jerry Jones wanted in the next hire, and it was like fear and accountability, and then two other things I forgot. But it was like fear, like literally, like Jerry Jones wanted a football coach that his players are going to fear and like respect,
right?
Because they had gone so far away from that with Jason Garrett, and not that Mike Norvell's coming in there chewing people out and hurting feelings and making kids have to lay on the couch and talk to the sports psychologist more than he usually would. But man, I think there's messages being carried by these guys. There's journeys they've been on that. Now that they're here, it's not one of these things where, all right, we're at Florida State. This thing just kind of takes care of itself, man. We just need to sit in these chairs and just do what we do, and it's going to all work out. I think there's going to be really difficult work cut out for us, and we're going to embrace it. You guys need to embrace it, and let's go. And I think when kids hear that sort of message, I think they're going to get up and they're going to walk out of those auditoriums and go into preseason training and be like, hell yeah, man, let's go. Let's go. I think so.
Well, that's also, remember, that's your recruiting coordinator too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really, again, you have a recruiting coordinator that absolutely believes in this message and this person, and you hope that message can resonate with 17-year-olds.
Man, she is gorgeous, huh?
Who is that?
Katie George, I think, from the ACC Network.
Mm-hmm.
Get a little ESPN Sports Center time. Good job. Good for you. Wearing a little garnet top. Shout out to Florida State.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a couple questions from the RenEx Express because we'll bring in Michael Langston and talk a little bit about recruiting as well as, again, some of these grad transfers. And the remainders we'll do probably tomorrow. Big Steve-O 22. Morning, fellas. As always, thank you both and the rest of the Warchant team on all the coverage you provide us. Three exclamation marks. To answer some of the questions I put up, so I asked some stuff. He says his favorite hire outside of Norvell is Josh Storms and the strength staff. From watching the top teams, their players
What's the assistant strength coach's name? Do you remember? Isn't it like Rowdy Dowdy or something?
Something like that. Rowdy, yeah. I can't. Not Rowdy Dowdy, I don't think.
It's something crazy.
Rowdy was part of it.
It's not Rowdy Dowdy?
I don't think so.
All right, keep asking the question. I'm looking it up.
From watching the top teams, their players always look and play different. Very anxious. By the way, somebody did point this out on YouTube. But it's kind of funny how we're using the swab principle, skin wrapped around bricks, and referring to LSU when the guy that used to be the strength coach here is on staff there. And everybody, kind of made fun of him here, and that was kind of cute.
Oh, did people make fun of him?
Yeah.
For what? For Loria?
Yeah.
For the DUI?
Yeah.
Well,
We got a lot
that
of Boy
wasn't
Scouts
great.
on. We got a lot of Boy Scouts.
That wasn't a great look to. It wasn't just the DUI. It was the passed out in a
I mean,
parked car on a ramp.
I mean, he who is without sin.
I
Cast
thought
the
it was
first stone.
Cutcliffe that. Well, I've never done that. I'm going to go ahead and say that. Cutcliffe made fun of him and called him a jester, right? Because he jumped up and down with the towel.
Yeah. But he's an assistant strength coach. I think Tommy Moffitt still runs the show in Baton Rouge, but still, just the point goes to the fact that there was a pretty good guy here. I'm very anxious to see what they can do to our team going into spring ball and then into fall. Storms and his staff seem to have the credentials to do great things. Hopefully the team buys in. I also like Alex Atkins from watching YouTube. Looking at stats from his previous stop, seems like his line does produce. You have to love Norvell and everything he has done. Seeing how guys who are expected to turn pro coming back, recruiting class intact, and the support staff coming in, what's there not to like? What moves has Norvell made that you think are questionable or causes you to be a little bit worried or concerned about? Also, real quick, my son will finally have his open heart surgery January 9th to fix his heart defect called tetralogy of Fallot. This 4-month-old has been a warrior throughout all of this. I just want to ask you guys and the rest of the community to keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Go Noles. Absolutely, Steve.
How old?
4 months, man.
Oh, my gosh.
Open
man.
heart surgery.
Good luck, man. We're all thinking about you there, man. That's awful. I mean, we hope it really, really works out.
Give it hell, little guy. What has he done that is questionable or causes us to be a little bit worried, concerned about? I like Adam Fuller, but I think Adam Fuller still, his resume is probably not the strongest for what this program probably expects from a defense and wants from a defense. Not to say that he's incapable of it. I don't think it's dubious. Questionable might even be a little bit strong, but it's maybe one of those ones where you're like, well,
It's a wait and see.
Yeah.
Right? It's a wait and see. Dubious is probably strong, but, questionable in the sense that
Who was the defensive staff? So TJ Rushing's the secondaries coach. Fuller is going to do linebackers, we assume, and be the DC. Excuse me. Odell's the defensive line coach. Is there like a ends coach or the guy from Maryland? I think just doing straight special teams.
Well, look it up, Aslan. By the way, the guy's name is Rowdy Dowdy.
Is it really?
Yep.
All right. Well, I mean that's got to at least be at least 5 pounds of lean muscle mass for everybody between now and the beginning of spring. It has to kind of result in that.
I mean, you got one guy named Josh Storms and another guy named Rowdy Dowdy. I mean, how are y'all not? I mean, y'all are it's gonna be the biggest team in the country in 2 years.
I do like Josh Storms.
Josh Storms is
is coming.
Yeah, Storms is coming. Storms here.
Storms is here.
Storms is here. And then, hey, let's get Rowdy. Let's get Rowdy Dowdy up in here. I mean, it's those names. Those names should add 40 pounds to everyone's bench. I know they don't max out on the bench anymore, but maybe they should.
Papachis is going to be the defensive ends coach. He's also special teams coordinator. Came from Maryland.
That's
DC
right.
at Nebraska.
Because Odell's just the D tackles again, which is
thank goodness.
Good.
All right, that's fantastic. Chris Marv from Vanderbilt Letterman starter, Mississippi State linebackers coach is the linebackers coach. So he's also run game coordinator is his title as well. And then rushing is your DB's coach. It's pretty good. I mean, Marv's a young guy, linebackers coach. I mean, he played the position. That's a good thing. And then you feel like Odell and Papachis up front. That's a good 1-2 combination. Papachis is probably an upgrade over Mark Snyder. At least has more special teams coordinator experience. Has been a defensive coordinator, I think, more recently than Snyder was when he came here as well. Also a little bit younger. I always had a little bit of a feeling that there's a little bit of premature retirement, I think, from Mark Snyder sometimes. Some Mark Snyder wearing flip-flops too much. Really soaking in that Florida. God bless him. Well, come on,
He's quirky. He's quirky. He's trying to have personality.
Yeah. So that's your defensive staff. That's I mean, linebacker. I don't think there's anybody that would be a linebackers coach that would make me go, ooh.
No, there isn't. There isn't.
Or DB, a defensive ends coach. I'd be like, oh.
The only big name-ish job that's out there for an assistant coach that the OC, Dillingham's a nice get, but it's Norvell's offense. Right. It was the DC, and so if you're going to be, if you're going to have trepidation about any of the hires, I would get that it would be him, just because he hasn't really done it at this level. But we certainly don't question his acumen and his coaching acumen. It's whether he can connect with players, and it's whether he can get players. If players are going to want to come play for DC Adam Fuller.
I don't know how many of these guys are with. I mean, I think Papachis isn't in his circle.
Like, I don't think we question Harlan Barnett's acumen for football. No. I don't think his message either got through to players or resonated. He might not have been able to teach it well, but he understood what was supposed to be happening. Yeah. He's a smart man, and he played in the league for a long time. He understood what was supposed to be happening, but sometimes it doesn't translate into actually getting players to understand it too.
Well, I mean, just looking at the defense, so John Papachis, and I hope that's the way you pronounce his last name, I don't think he's he's not part of the Memphis Mafia. Marv isn't part of the Memphis Mafia. It's really only Fuller and Rushing that are really part of it. So, again, this isn't like, we're just doing everybody favors. We're bringing the whole band back together. So, I mean, they did go out. He's leaned on his network, to which we've talked about. There is a value in knowing the guys that you've coached with, especially the first time around. This is your first Power 5 job at Mike Norvell, and you got your work cut out for you. So there's value in having guys that kind of know your vision. But then also they went outside his network. I mean, Alex Atkins is a guy that he's not part of the Memphis Mafia,
right?
And is an important hire. So he's shown some,
and that's a really important hire.
Yeah, he's shown some inclination to be bold and kind of maybe go outside what he knows as well. So it's been pretty balanced. Can't really fault him for that. Maxwell Gibbs, wake up, boys. It's 2020. It is, man. What did you get for Christmas, by the way? Any cool things for Christmas?
I got a squatty potty.
Okay. Welcome to the fraternity.
Yeah. Game changer.
Yeah.
I might have texted Stephanie that in the middle.
All right.
Like, this feels like a game changer.
Did she purchase you that?
No.
Okay.
No, I just felt like she wanted to know.
All right.
trying to keep it hot and fresh.
Gotcha.
After almost 3 years. Got a shoulder wrap, a heated shoulder wrap for my shoulder. Obviously,
oh, yeah,
it's
so you can throw more.
Throw BP and Brady,
right,
and throw football and stuff with them, and practice basketball with them. And I got a man groomer.
Ooh.
But not a.
He's pointing at his nether regions.
Not a manscaping. More
like for
just some hard to reach places.
Okay.
Some
upper body.
Upper body, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's about it. I got a gift card.
Is that what happens when you turn 40-something?
Dude,
you only
it's not
get
just
3
that.
things?
It's when you have kids. When you have kids, nothing is about you. I don't even know what to ask for.
Isn't Brady working and earning money to purchase his father a Christmas gift?
No, what did he get me? He and Shanna got me a laptop. It's like a desk for a laptop where it just sits on your lap,
okay,
and then you put the computer on it. It's like a tray, like a laptop tray. It's nice. It is nice because the laptop
Does it have like a cup
will get
holder
warm.
or something?
No, it's got a mouse thing you do, but no cup holder. It just sits there so the computer isn't on your lap, burning your thighs.
So there's like an additional touchpad. Is there like a dock that you put the laptop on, then you can just touch a pad and it operates as the mouse?
No,
thingy?
I think you're supposed to have a mouse, but I don't. So it doesn't do anything for me. It's just so.
Man.
I mean, Christmas when you're in your 40s and you have a kid, for yourself isn't nearly what it was.
So a guy who drives back and forth from Atlanta like twice a week to be a great father to his son and
to be a father,
give his ex-wife a good strong male leader for his son to behave well, gets a $60 laptop tray.
Maybe not even that. Yeah, but hey, man, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain.
I can't wait to get married. Maxwell Gibbs, wake up, boys! It's 2020.
Wait till you get divorced.
Yeah, what's more likely to happen in the new year? Both the men and women's basketball teams make the Final Four. Mike Norvell wins 9 games his first season, or the baseball team wins a College World Series finally.
Talking about this one
this
year?
year, I would say they'd win the College World Series. Although I don't know, that team's got some holes in it. But man, for the men and women's team to both make the Final Four, that's tough. Maybe 9 wins. I guess maybe 9 wins is that's the most. I feel like that's probably the most practical.
Probably out of those, yeah. And then I would say number 2 would probably be baseball, hoping to get hot at the right time.
Yeah. I mean,
and then it's just really hard to get to a Final Four.
I mean, quick math here, isn't 9 wins, isn't that 75% winning percentage?
Yeah.
Like win 75% of your games at Florida State.
Well, I mean, we're talking about a team that's 18-20 in the last 3 years.
You're right. Aslan, you and I are sure we're very complimentary of El Paso. Was this because Gene told you both to be so that he did not have to worry about backlash from another city after Corey ripped those nice people in Shreveport? Speaking of Shreveport, who despises it more, Corey or the entire Miami program and, quote, fan base? By the way, Corey, did Brady get his Christmas gift that you gave him a receipt for yet?
No, it hasn't come up yet.
Oh, gosh.
It ships. I just looked at it yesterday. It's supposed to be by January 16th. We're supposed to have
gosh.
it. John Morant might have retired by then.
Jeez.
It's been a minute. So he's still excited, though. He said he's still excited. And another one of the presents was a game. The Grizzlies come to Atlanta in March. I'm going to take them to that game. So it'll be Trae Young versus John Morant. He's got to decide which jersey to wear.
Maybe you deserve that laptop tray, making your son wait 3 weeks.
I know
to
it
get
wasn't
his
my
Christmas
best.
gift.
Wasn't my best effort.
I loved El Paso. I thought it was great. That bowl host committee, it's crazy. So these bowl associations and the bowl host committees, they literally have a committee for. There's a specific band host committee, so that marching chiefs had their own committee that hosted them and was like, hey, we'll take you here for dinner.
Oh, cool.
If you guys need I don't know, you need like eye drops or something, we'll go run to Walgreens for you and get it for you. The CBS team has their own one. Like the referees have their own one. Florida State obviously has their own. Us in the local media had our own, and there was a room in the lobby of the hotel that was a hospitality room that had full booze and food like 24/7.
Okay. All right. You're selling me.
It was awesome. I really do regret that I didn't go to Lucchese's, which is like this really renowned boot company that's based in El Paso. I tried to go before we got on the plane on New Year's Day, but they were actually closed. I wanted to get a pair of cowboy boots, just get some proper cowboy boots. They're timeless, man, and they're expensive as all get out. I think somebody on the staff.
Did you get a hat?
Nah, I was gonna get a hat too. But I didn't get it. I didn't do anything.
You were gonna,
I could order the hat.
Why didn't you? You were there for 4 or 5 days.
Ira was like, you look good. And I don't know, I have a lot of cowboy hat envy. Everybody I saw in the shop wearing a cowboy hat, I'm like, damn, they look good in their cowboy hat. Then I put my hat on, and I'm like, eh. I mean, there's so many different styles. And
I think you'd have a good face for a cowboy hat. You're kind of a long, angular face.
Yeah.
I think it would work for you.
Well, I can order it online.
It's not the same.
Oh, it's the same
Walk
company.
out of the store with it.
Well, I was thinking about also wearing it on the plane. Then I have to put it on in the. Although when we were landing,
you could also take it off when the flight attendant gets you the drink. Thank you, ma'am, or thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Put it back on.
Well, actually, when we landed, the flight attendant came from the back with 2 cowboy hats and handed it to people. I guess like they're probably used to that on flights that come from Dallas. Like I guess they have like a
people like they have a hat section,
like a hat compartment or something.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I think I'm going to get a cowboy. But no, El Paso was great. Also, speaking of which, I watched on YouTube, if you Google Sun Bowl 2019, somebody, his name is Spence, God bless this guy, cut out the intro for CBS. That they, dun, 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 and it's the Sun Bowl. It's 6-6 Florida State against 7-5 Arizona State, and it feels like the college football playoff.
Yo, it's great, man.
It was amazing.
It's from my childhood, man. Watching FSU and Miami and all those years, and you hear that, and you're Musburger.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Gets the blood flowing.
They had shots of Corso, Burt Reynolds. It was amazing. And then he even says, like, it's the 84th Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. It's going to be great. I mean, watch it, folks. I've watched it 7 times today. It's amazing. I just want to go in the SEC just for the music package.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We'll take less than everybody else that's getting paid out. I just want to hear that music like 3 times a year. Next question, Flash FSU. What are your resolutions for 2020? Which of those will you actually accomplish? I haven't made any. I just kind of quietly tell myself, shut up sometimes if I'm about to say something bad or think something kind of negative about somebody. We'll see how long that lasts. But usually it's always, I want to be on time more. I want to be more punctual.
That's good.
And I don't want to forget people's names that I meet. And
okay.
I've already, I met somebody the other day. I've already forgot their name if I bumped into them again.
Was it a he or she?
I think it was a guy.
Well, that's really bad.
Actually, no, it was.
The gender.
Yeah.
Actually,
it was a guy at the gym that listens to the show that was telling me, like, I hear it's going to be Mike Norvell, and it's going to be like 6 years, $35 million or something.
He said this to you recently?
Well, he said it like a few weeks back. But I'm like, all right. And then I figured next time I saw him when Mike Norvell got hired, I'd strike conversation up with him. But then I'm like, I forgot your name.
But that's the beauty about being a guy.
Yeah.
Is you can just say, hey, man, what's up? Or, hey, dog.
Hey,
man. Chief.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. Hey,
what's
champ.
Up? What's up, Gaylord? Like, you can have all these nicknames for people where you never have to know their names.
You any resolutions for you?
To get in better shape, I'm already in tremendous shape.
You are.
But to get in even better shape, I'm going to start working out again.
All right. Hey, man, I can bring a guest for free at said gym.
No, I'm going to get a trainer.
Me. Okay.
I'm getting a personal trainer. I'm going to get a routine that's right for me.
You don't like maybe I can help you out.
No. I'm going to pay this guy. He's a friend, so I'm going to actually have him.
I'm not a friend.
Well, again, he's a professional trainer.
Okay.
And you're a professional podcaster. That's different. And I'm gonna come up with a routine that's right for me, and I'm gonna stick to it.
Hell yeah.
I'm in my mid-40s now. I want to live to at least 50.
Let's do it.
So I want to try to get in really good shape and see what happens.
By the way, Ira said
maybe a 6-pack. Is that a good resolution to have, to try to get a 6-pack?
Nah, it's overrated, man.
I don't know. I'd like to see what it looks like on me. I'd have to shave my belly
because I
wouldn't be able to see it.
Let's add 2.5 inches on your arms. You already have pretty decent sized arms. If you got like 2.5 inches on your arms, you would look a little
but that's
more.
the thing is, so that was the one thing when I worked out a lot. I didn't work out at all until I was probably 30, and then I worked out pretty solidly for a couple of years, and it did change my body, and my arms did get big. But it's like that's all I was doing. I was doing curls and I was doing bench, because that's all you really need.
That's all you need.
But I was doing more curls than bench. So my chest got developed a little bit. I know this is why you guys all listen. My chest got developed a little bit, but my arms got pretty jacked to the point where I looked a little off kilter. It didn't look like it was symmetrical. So I want to be lean and cut on my arms.
Okay.
But I want to slim down a little bit, just get lean and cut everywhere with probably an 8-pack. Right. That's all I want. That's easy, right? I figure I can do that in about, what did that take me, about 6 weeks?
Yeah.
8 weeks and I'll be done? Yeah, good.
By the way, Ira said he's in for tennis. And I hope you're serious. I brought my racket back from up home. We need to play tennis. Like we got to get a fourth. Maybe see if Gene wants to do it, but Gene's always busy. But
Stephanie plays tennis.
Okay, for real. I'm like, let's once a week doubles tennis. It's good, man. Just to run around. We'll keep score.
The problem
with
doubles, you don't run around that much.
Yeah, you still right, man.
I watch Shanna because I watched Shanna play, and she's a high level tennis player up in Atlanta. She plays in Alta, and she's always one of the better players on her team.
What's
she
Alta
plays
for us?
Atlanta
commoners?
League Tennis Association or something.
Okay,
but it's huge. I think it's the biggest one in the country.
All right.
And she's won championships before with her teams.
Whoa, with her teams.
With her teams, but she's always either the one or the two.
Oh.
But I watch them play, and this is going to sound offensive. I don't mean it to. But she's playing against, and Shanna's very good. Like, she played in high school in Sarasota. She probably could have played low-level college tennis. Anyway.
That's Silver Spoon life down in Sarasota.
I know, man. I know. It's country club life for that kid. But she's playing probably 55-year-old chubbier women. And they don't get gassed. Because you're just not moving that much in doubles tennis. You might move from side to side or up or back, but it's not. You can't run somebody around in doubles because there's another person there.
All right, well, you just want to go heads up.
Let's just do singles.
Okay.
Let's just.
I'm being serious. Like, I want to get out and run around more.
I do too. And
I
just so you know, I talk a ton of trash, and I'm not any good.
That's fine.
All right.
I'm also trying to get out of bed before noon. That's actually been good. I've gotten out.
That's a good resolution too.
And then that too. Jive Turkey 64. Wake up! Lots of discussion on the boards about the Norvell support staff. How does it compare in terms of amount of personnel and their responsibilities with that of Willie and Jimbo?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Correct.
The difference here is that none of the Willie support staff was ever like broadcast to us.
And exactly. Yeah.
We didn't get emails about them. We didn't get press releases about them. They didn't really have bios. We didn't know anything really about them unless we asked them or asked somebody in the department. Now Florida State is actually releasing bios on all these people, which is a good move. But I don't know. I don't think the numbers are that different. It may be a couple more here or there, but it just seems like a lot because there have been so many announcements. And when Willie took over, there were 0 announcements really about any support staff.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what I will say is that was one of the guys that Jimbo did take when was his director of ops guy, Greg Robinson.
Yeah.
And
it's an important position.
And I think even though his title is chief of staff, and it probably what most closely aligns to what most guys have as their director of ops is kind of what the chief of staff, Bruce Warwick, is going to be. Willie, I don't think he hired Charles Clark, which I think was the guy with the glasses, the bald-headed, shorter guy. I don't think he hired him until maybe like a few weeks into the season.
Oh, okay.
Like he did not have he had an assistant director of ops, but I remember somebody actually posted a comment on on the Renegade Express last week, like, I see that he has an assistant director of ops. Who's the head director of ops? And I was like, that's a good question. And he didn't hire Charles Clark, I don't think, until a few weeks into the 2018 season. So yeah, I mean, I think somebody also posted a thread like, where's all this money coming from? And to your point, I think that there's probably going to be a couple additions, but otherwise it's somewhat in line to what Jimbo and Willie had. It's being broadcasted, and now we have names, we have titles. But yeah, I mean, Willie had guys that were helping out behind the scenes. Willie wasn't booking hotels and setting nutrition plans and all that kind of stuff. So speaking of which, this segues nicely. JC-Nole-77. Wake up! First off, thank you for the pods and contributions. Love listening to them on the ride to work on I-4 in Orlando. Do you guys believe that the Warwick hire could be the next AD in waiting. Warwick. This is going to be really crazy for, always
for all the Warwicks in our lives.
Yeah,
to
and we've
not
always
have to
been
say Warwick.
and always been scared to say accidentally Warwick Dunn. And people are like, it's Warwick, you idiot. Like, okay, sorry.
Or Peter Warwick.
Could he be the next AD in waiting? Seems like he has solid, strong operational experience at the NFL level. Could be a solid candidate, not educated on the subject enough to know if this would be a likely move, but would love to hear your thoughts.
I mean, there's no way to say for sure that it wouldn't be, but I mean, I certainly don't think that's the reason he's here. Maybe that's something they look to in the future, but I don't think that's a reason he's here, and that's pure speculation.
I mean,
I think you go get somebody that's already been an AD somewhere. That would be my advice.
Because there is more
or at least an assistant AD, because there's more than just football.
There is, but man, if football's not doing well, then no one's doing well. If the football team is rolling, I don't know if Lonnie's really going to care. If she has a really strong advocate, it's like, hey, man, football team.
I mean, they're all going to care. They all care. But I don't, what is Trey Jones or Brayman or Leonard Hamilton going to be cool with a football assistant being his AD? I wouldn't think that.
The diving coach, by the way, some jack dude, I think, Neil Studd. Have you seen the photo of the guy? I think he's a diving coach or swimming coach.
His last name's Studd?
Yeah, with 2 Ds.
Oh, all right.
The guy's got his arms folded on his headshot. The guy's jacked.
Well, that's what I'm hoping to look like in 2 months.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be my New Year's resolution, is to look like Neil Studd.
That kind of makes a little bit of sense just because.
By the way, swimmers in general, but divers, they're all cut up, man. It's crazy.
Swimmers more so than divers. Divers are a little more.
You don't see. I mean, Luke, you've never
Greg
seen a diver
Louganis.
with a gut.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'd rather be built like Michael Phelps and Greg Louganis.
But Louganis was cut up.
Nah.
He was
slim.
He was a beach body.
All right. Sorry. I'm blessed with the beach body. I'd rather be jacked. I'm used to being slim, Thankfully,
I got you.
I'm not worried about being a slob. I mean, I think
Rowdy Dowdy, by the way, on his Twitter bio, it says he's a member of the USA Powerlifting organization, so that's good.
I would imagine there had to be some little bit of hesitation from Mike Norvell just in terms of hey, David and John, you guys seem like pretty cool guys, but you're kind of both leaving, aren't you? I'm retiring, and then once I'm retiring, David's like, yeah, once he retires, I'm probably leaving soon thereafter. It's like, well, where does that leave me?
Right.
And maybe it was one of these things where, hey, if you got somebody in mind, we'll definitely listen to it. I mean, obviously, I'm sure every sort of concession was made. Listen, this is Florida State. We're going to hire an AD that's going to support football and football.
Yeah.
And we'll certainly.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to. I mean, what kind of idiocy would it be at a place like Florida State to hire an AD that doesn't?
Yeah.
That doesn't give the proper attention to football.
Yeah. Well, that would never happen here, right?
Well, again, we can say what we want about Wilcox, and I know he doesn't have a lot of fans here. They did win a championship, and they did have the 6th highest paid assistant coaching staff in the country, and they built a practice facility. So even he knew, and he was a basketball guy through and through.
Let's take 2 more. Joe Clark, 17. Gentlemen, thoughts on.
Joe Clark from Lean On Me.
Yeah, I was about to say Stand By Me. Lean On Me, sorry. Gentlemen, thoughts on Brady White. I think he would be an obvious upgrade, but do we think it's a realistic opportunity or a pipe dream?
So that's the Memphis kid, right?
Yeah.
Have you watched any of his film?
No, not really.
It's not overly impressive. That's not to say that he wouldn't do well here or be the best option, but I don't look at that guy and see a program changer. I think he's a guy that runs that offense pretty well, but he runs it pretty well in the AAC with a good offensive line in front of him. What does he look like when he's running for his life? Don't know. If he came, I certainly think he'd have a real good shot to win the job until Chubba's ready. Or is it Rodemaker?
Yeah,
Rodemaker?
Rodemaker.
Rodemaker's better.
I think it is as well. Tate, let's figure that out.
We're gonna have to probably switch that to Rodemaker because you can call him Hot Rod. You don't call him Hot Road. Hot Road? That's ridiculous.
It is Rodemaker.
I thought you said it was Rodemaker.
Rodemaker.
Okay.
I thought it was Rodemaker.
You said Rodemaker.
All right, we'll go with that then.
Well,
I'm
either
sorry.
way.
I'm in my head now.
Yeah, you are. I got it in your head. Yeah, I mean, I
That's
think
how it's going to be when we play tennis?
Exactly. You just got a glimpse. All y'all just got a glimpse. I would say he would be probably a bit of a step up just because he's familiar with the offense. Doesn't seem to make a ton of mistakes, but he's not an NFL guy either. I mean, it would be cool. He's probably a little bit better than average, I would think, but man, it'd be cool to have a guy here that was like a transcendent quarterback again. Those were cool to have.
Noles MG4, wake up! Happy 2020.
He's left-handed though, I think. I think Brady White's left-handed. When was the last time they had a lefty?
J.J. Cosson.
No, he was right-handed. I was joking.
Hornibrook.
Yeah.
Right. Touche.
By the way, that's pretty cool that he just left the team.
It's like they could have used him or anything.
No, I mean, yeah. Why would they have used him in that game?
They win that game.
Because Blackman was crushing it.
Pulling up tape. He's righty.
He is a righty?
Yeah.
Then never mind. He can't come. I'm only interested in lefties.
No room at the table for you. Last one. 2020 is going to be an awesome year for the good guys. I do think all the defensive staff have been put together quite nicely, especially the back seven. Also believe Coach Johnson will be outstanding as a recruiting coordinator. I do have a question for Aslan. How do you feel that Matt Rule went to the NFL and left Baylor after a great season? Thank you again for everything, keeping us entertained and educated on everything FSU. 5 stars. How about my dude?
5 stars, nice. Yeah, he got paid,
my
didn't
dude?
he?
Get Jimbo Fisher money, man. 7 years, 60, probably 70. They're saying with incentives.
I saw on Twitter, maybe it was Mandel from the Athletic or somebody else that said they thought they had been hearing that was about what he was getting at Baylor, or close to what he was getting at Baylor, because that's a private school, so they don't have to. Which again, that might have been why he was never even in the conversation at Florida State, because that's a ton of money, and they are a private school. But that, I mean, yeah, man, that was pretty shocking to me that you would devote 7 years to an NFL head coach, a guy that's never been in the NFL.
Well, yeah, he was assistant line coach for the team that beat.
No, I mean he's
Brady
never
12.
been an NFL
head
head coach, and you're going to give him 7 years because he won some games in the Big 12. Not to dismiss what he did, it was incredible what he did at Baylor and the turnaround they had, but because you can turn around at Baylor doesn't mean you can beat the Saints.
I saw somewhere on Twitter that said the buyout was $15 million, but then ESPN said $6 million. And I'm like, well, I would have ate $6 million if I had it in the Renaissance Fund to get Matt Rule here. But you're going to probably lose him to the NFL. As great as Florida State is, I think, I don't know how many coaches would not go to the NFL. I think Dabo is like the only high-level coach. I think Ed Orgeron would go to the NFL.
See, I wonder about that, man. Like, what's the appeal?
Here's my nightmare scenario.
What's the appeal?
Saban retires, Dabo goes to Alabama, Matt Rule's meh, and Carolina just goes down the road to Clemson, gets back into college football.
Okay, but wouldn't a more nightmarish scenario be that Dabo just stays at Clemson?
No,
wouldn't you'd be trading Dabo for Matt Rule? I feel like Matt Rule can't do better. He can only do worse.
But can Dabo sustain this for 5 more years?
Who knows? I don't think so. But then you just told me they have 6 5-stars in this class, including the number 1 quarterback in the country.
All right, maybe that's not nightmare.
What about
maybe
the guy? Didn't they sign the kid with the crazy name, Pontchartrain or something? What's his name?
Fomachin or something. Yeah,
Isn't that what I said?
Close.
Okay. So they got hit. Wasn't he a 5-star kid?
Yeah,
too?
he played in mop-up duty.
Yeah, we saw him. They tried to score a touchdown there at the end. So what's he going to do? Is he going to bounce? Get him in the portal.
Well, Trevor Lawrence is gone after next season.
Yeah, but then they got this dude coming in right behind him. Is he going to wait his turn?
Who, the Fomachin or the guy that
the guy that they just signed, the guy they're just signing.
Well, I mean, he's going to compete.
One of them's going to win the job, and whoever doesn't is going to bounce. In Tallahassee, Mike Norvell could have his arms wide open.
With arms wide
open.
Tommy Hawk Chop, wake up, fellas. How in the world do you get a 2-star starting Power 5 linebacker to walk on? We'll find out. We'll ask Michael Langston.
Yeah, that's. He had a lot of tackles at Purdue, or some tackles, I guess. He was one of the leading tacklers.
We'll be right back to Wake Up Warchant. Presented by Zaxby's.
You're listening to Wake Up Warchant Low Carb Beer for the Seminole Soul. Back to Aslan and Corey.
Welcome back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan Hajavandi, joined by Michael Langston, recruiting analyst for Warchant.com and Rivals.com. Michael, how you been, man? Happy New Year.
You too, man. I'm doing fantastic. It's just a lot of craziness, man. Grad transfers, news, coaches hires, and recruiting, and tracking the 2020 class. So many transfers. Oh gosh, it's making my head spin, man. It's a lot of work, but I love it because it keeps me active and keeps me busy. So it's been a lot of fun.
You were on top of this transfer from Purdue, linebacker Cornell Jones, Miami product. I guess, how much time does he have? Do we know eligibility? And I guess maybe just, is there any dots to connect a kid from playing at Purdue walking on at Florida State?
Well, he's always the thing with Cornell is, I dealt with Cornell when he was at Miami Central. That's where he's from, Miami, Florida. And Cornell's always loved FSU, so there was always a place that he hoped that he would have a chance to play for. It didn't work out coming out of high school, but he's always had high interest in them. I know he has a pretty good relationship with new linebackers coach Chris Morrow. I think that's a guy that's worked on him. Coming out of high school, they liked him a lot. So when he was at I think Mississippi State and Vanderbilt, so I think he was the guy that already had a relationship there. Now, the one thing, what I do know is he's not a grad transfer, but he does have one more year of eligibility. He also has a year left on a red shirt, so he can technically red shirt and then play the following year, or if he gets the waiver to play, he can play immediately this year, and he will certainly help them out a lot. Led the Boilermakers in, I think, tackles for loss from the linebacker position. He's just everywhere. The guy's like, I think he had 14 tackles for loss and like five sacks, and I think over 100, close to 100 tackles. The guy was just everywhere. He's a guy that gets off blocks really well. He finishes, and he is murderous in the run game, where he just really fills his gaps really well. And he's a guy that could certainly be a big boost for FSU as far as that linebacker position and getting solid production and a guy that can really, just improve their situation as far as linebackers, for coverage or a guy that fills the gaps in the run game. I think he's a guy that can do a lot.
In 2018, he played in all 13 games, was fifth in total tackles with 69, had 12.5 tackles for loss to lead the team, including 3.5 sacks. Also had 2 quarterback hurries on top of that. So definitely an explosive, dynamic kind of guy from the linebacker position. I think this past season in 19, he was limited to 6 games. So his production obviously not as much. But, I think in the story said that he's going to walk on. But, to leave a scholarship at Purdue, I would imagine there has to be some sort of, I don't want to say agreement, but maybe an outline of a roadmap for him, I guess, to be on scholarship if he does get eligible. He's got 2 to play one also is what you were saying, right?
Yeah, and Cornell had told me, we talked earlier today, he said their scholarships are full right now, but he said after the spring is over, he'll be on scholarship. So I think that's the agreement that you're talking about, the link of he will be on scholarship after the spring, after they have spring football. I think he's going to be on scholarship is the message I was told from Cornell. So I think that's the way it's going to work out. Now, his eligibility as far as playing right away is really, under question. That part I don't know. That's the only part I really don't know. But like I said, he has a year left on eligibility as far as playing, but he also has a year to redshirt if he needs to. So it's kind of a good situation where if you somehow don't get him, then you have that year that he could redshirt and bam, ready to go in 2021. So either way, it's basically like getting a proven guy right off the bat, either for this upcoming season coming up or the following season. So it's a smart decision and certainly a immediate playmaker guy that knows how to you have recruits that come in, you kind of hope they work out, but this is a guy that's already done it at the D1 level and in the Big Ten conference, so he's a guy that certainly is going to be able to jump right in and certainly make an impact.
6'2", 235 pounds, always listed at Cornell Jones. All right, so if they're full of scholarships currently, well, I would imagine that means that pretty much the early enrollees they were anticipating being here are here. How many of the 2020 class that signed back there in December, Michael, all the guys that were intending on being here early, have they arrived on campus?
Most of them are there. I would say 7 of them are there. And those 7, I'm going to try to do this by memory. Quarterback Tate Rodemaker, linebacker Steven Dix, offensive lineman Zane Herring, tight end Carter Boatwright, wide receiver Brian Robinson, Trying to see if I'm forgetting somebody. And
Josh
I think,
Griffiths.
Okay, no, yeah, Josh Griffiths, defensive ends there. And I think the last one will be offensive lineman Lloyd Willis will arrive there either Thursday or Friday, which is kind of the deadline to, enroll early at FSU. Different schools have different ways. Heard Ole Miss is like they don't have theirs till like January 20th or something like that. So, but for FSU, I think that's kind of the cutoff date to early enroll is. And there's always extensions. You can get extended to several days, but I think that's when most of them, if not all of them, are going to be in on January probably 9th, I want to say, on a Thursday. So Thursday or Friday, and then. But every one of them, they're there except for Lloyd Willis, and he will be there probably Thursday or Friday.
So the guys that enrolled early, although they're part of the 2020 signing class, these guys actually count towards the 2019 class. Is that how it works?
Well, the good thing about that is you can count them towards the 19 class, you can count them towards the 2020 class, or you can count them towards the 2021 class.
Okay.
It's kind of up to the discretion of the head coach of the way he wants to present it. Bottom line is you have to meet that 85 scholarship limit, but it's kind of up to the discretion of the coach. But you can use it in different classes. It's just up to them how they want to use each one of them.
Well, recruiting obviously is not done. Transfers and such are out there. That's a little more legwork you got to put into to figure out the names and the schools that they're going after. But in terms of the prepsters, I know you got a new hot board that you just put up on warchant.com. I think, a lot of good notes on good grief. I mean, this thing is just notes and nuggets on like 36 players. So get your fill of that, folks.
Yeah.
What, I guess, I don't know if running back is the biggest concern for Florida State fans or offensive line, maybe one of those. Is there any sort of development that kind of really jumps out to you, or is Florida State positioned maybe really well to fill particular needs at one of those positions that you can kind of share with us?
Well, I think running back and offensive line are both major needs. I think Norvell announced that, in the early signing days, like we really want to knock out running backs and knock out offensive linemen. And the other position is defensive ends, but we'll get into that later. But the running backs, LaDainian Webb, he's a JUCO running back. He's a guy I feel pretty good about. I think FSU's got a really good shot at landing him. And then another one's kind of a slot receiver, but in this offense, he can be that speedy guy that Norvell likes, and Corey Wren. I think they have a really good shot with both of those kids. I actually think if signed day to day, that's where I think they would head is to Florida State. So I think they look pretty good with both of those guys. And then, we mentioned this name, the other day. His first name is slipping my mind, but running back Bradford out of Texas. I'm going Kavontre Bradford from Texas. He's a guy to keep a really good eye on. I've heard some very positive things with FSU. And if you did get that guy, I think that would round out your running backs class. And then the offensive line, there's a lot of developments there. Grad transfers, they already got one in Devontae Taylor from FIU. They got that transfer. And then I hear they want to sign, and they feel confident they will sign, 2 more grad transfers. People want me to pinpoint guys, and it's really hard, guys, because there's somebody new like every day. I would say, the big one, that I learned today was Devin Cochran from over there at Vanderbilt. He's very highly regarded, very highly rated as far as in the pass, percentage and blocking rankings and all that stuff. But I think he's a guy that I feel very confident in saying that FSU will definitely get a visit, and probably the first visit. Could even happen this weekend. I'm not sure, but I do know that I feel like he's going to visit soon, and he's got a good relationship with Chris Marv, who's the linebackers coach at FSU, because Chris was at Vanderbilt when they were recruiting him, so he has a solid relationship there. I've heard he's talked to Coach Atkins, the offensive line coach at FSU, quite frequently, and FSU's pushing hard, and they want this kid bad, and his number one criteria was, I want to play early because I know I can make an impact, and that's my biggest thing. I was I didn't say anything to him. I'm like, well, dude, FSU is the place, dude, because there is no bigger opportunity to play early than FSU. But I kept that to myself. But I think that's one of the higher rated guys that they want. I think there's several guys on there. The kid from Stanford, I'm kind of drawing a blank. Not Heinous, but the other kid. Shoot, I can't remember. But
I got you. Chill on, man. Devery Hamilton.
Devery Hamilton. I think there's a good shot there. I think he's a guy. He's a guy to remember. But there's just so many guys that people do. I cannot explain to people enough. With grad transfer, it's not like covering high school recruiting. This is a lot different. These dudes are shut down. They don't talk a lot. Everything's very secretive with what they're doing, and a lot of people say, "Oh, I know what they're going." No, you don't. A lot of these guys are very secretive, and they know how to throw people off the scent, and so it's really difficult to keep track of these guys, especially when you get new names in there. But the one thing I've been very impressed with is, and this has been from the start with Norvell, is he is aggressively attacking all these holes in this roster, and it shows when you look at that hot board everyone's looking at and studying. There is seems like a billion offensive linemen on there and a billion running backs on there, and he's making sure plans, backup plans, triple backup plans, 4 backup plans on every kid that they're extremely active with those 2 positions, and I think they're confident that they're going to fill those holes. That get you 2 or 3 grad transfers in this class, probably sign a high school kid or 2, and then maybe even a JUCO guy. You never know. And then at running back, I think they feel pretty good. Where they stand on the guys that they could pull. So I think the main takeaway I have from so far, what I've seen, the way Norvell works and the way the staff works, is they aggressively go after aggressive like I haven't seen in a coaching staff in a while.
I mean, there's literally on this hot board from Michael, folks. There's literally a player from every Power 5 conference in terms of a grad transfer option on the offensive line. It's incredible. I guess just real quick, defensively, defensive end, maybe pass rusher more than anything, although the numbers even on the interior really aren't anything all that to boast and brag about right now for Florida State. But you feel like with Durden, Cooper, and Marvin Wilson coming back, obviously Florida State's pretty good there. Maybe Cedric Wood can maybe kind of step up and tap into his potential. True Thompson's another guy that got a lot of reps, and maybe he can have a little bit of a sophomore surge. But defensive end pass rushing wise, anything interesting that Florida State's got their eye on, or that you got your eye on with Florida State?
Well, that's another position where there's a lot of guys in there. I think the one that everyone focuses on is Damon Clowney, which that's Jadavon Clowney's cousin. Here, Ole Miss has kind of got the momentum there, so they're going to have some work to do to catch up with them. He might actually be an early enrollee from what I hear, so you would think Ole Miss has the edge there. So I think these names are very fluid, the ones that I put on there. I think there's going to be even more names on there because there's so many. There's people think so many prospects sign, but there's so many out there in the grad transfer market and just overall that I'm going to be adding to this. So there's not really one particular or 2 particular guys I want to really highlight because the main thing with that watch was to connect the dots with guys that I know they would be interested in. Certainly the Roche kid from Temple, he's a transfer. That's a possibility that they could pull. But we'll have to wait and see, how that transpires. I don't know. I know FSU's extremely active with him. I just don't know that they've been told that, hey, I'm coming or anything like that. So I think they're heavily involved there. But I think the defensive end position's a little bit different in running back or even offensive line. I think they have a pretty good gauge of that. I think with defensive end, they're getting on the guys to figure out what the plan is and to figure out which guys that they can pull, because I think they want 2 or 3 pass really good edge rushers in this class, whether they got to get them from high school Probably going to get a grad transfer, I would think, because they want at least one really proven, pass rusher. So there's several guys on there. Gilbert, forgetting his name. Edmund.
Don't give it all away. Don't give it all away, Michael. It's fine. That's perfect. Way to tease.
I'm not giving it all away. I'm just going to say, out of all those guys, that's probably the guy that I feel confident about as far as with FSU. But people can read it. There's tons of guys on there, but with the defensive end position, I think that's kind of fluid. Where I think there's going to be even more guys added in the next week or even visits set up. I think you're going to see a lot more activity there.
All right, man. Check it out over on Warchant.com, the premium recruiting board. It's on the front page right now. Michael's hot board. Michael Langston, recruiting analyst for Warchant.com. Thanks for your time, Michael. For Michael and Corey, I'm Azon. Thank you all for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.